winter is here. And we just gotta stick it out. And it's time to hibernate. Hibernate with a good book. Just cuddle up on the couch, get some tea, get a blanket, and get to reading. At least that is my plans for the rest of the season, because I'm not the biggest fan of winter, to be honest. I gotta be honest. So today I have a lot of winter recommendations for you. This is both a winter recommendations video and also a winter TBR video, because all of these books I have not read. I just went to my shelves and started pulling off all of the books that I might be interested to read this season, and I just kept on pulling off books. So there's a lot there. Will I get through all of them? No, I can with certainty say that I probably won't do that. But I mean, at least I have got a lot of options, and I hope that you also find something here that you will want to read. So I got close to 30 books here, and I kind of divided them into sections. And since there are so many, I have to be short and precise in my ramble about them. So I'm going to try to keep it short, and I'll also put the summary on the screen for you so that you can read a bit more closer if you want to. And I have divided them into sections. We have classics, fantasy, literary fiction / just general fiction, and then non-fiction. So we're going to start with the classics because there are the most of them. And let's just get into it. We're going to start with Dead Souls by Nikolai Gogol. And I think Russian literature, or just Russian classics in general, is the epitome of winter for me. It is when I think of winter reading, this is what I think of. Just Russian literature that you can lean into, your winter blues can lean into, and you can get more depressed. But this is Dead Souls by Nikolai Gogol. I think that this is a funny story about a person going around stealing identities to scam the government. That's basically all I know, but quite excited for this one. I mean, I'm quite excited for all of them, so I don't know if I should say that. I'm probably going to continue saying that for a lot of them, but you get it. You get the gist. Should I just put them over here? Villette by Charlotte Bronte is a book that I don't know much about. I think that this is a quiet novel, and it's set in this fictional town of Villette, and I think it's set in winter for a lot of the book, so that feels perfect. It's just a quiet book set in a winter town in France, I believe, and it's just very introspective, and I think the character thinks a lot and just goes very deep into herself, is what I am getting to this one. It's also quite big, and hopefully this one will hit better than Jane Eyre for me. Now, a book that I have seen recommended all over my social medias for winter is Ethan Frome by Edith Wharton. So I got my hands on it, and it's quite short, and I've heard that this is just depressing. I think it's slow moving. So it says on the back, the classic novel of despair, forbidden emotion, and sexual undercurrents set against the austere New England countryside. So, oh my god, just as I was sitting down to film this video, it started snowing, so it's a perfect atmosphere, and it kind of making me more excited for winter than I actually am. I just want snow because it's at least that's pretty, instead of just chilly days with or just wet weather. I don't like that. Then we got The Ripening Seed by Colette. From my understanding, this is more of a summer novel, but I just really want to read it, so I don't have any problems with reading summer books in the winter or winter books in the summer, so I'm going to get to this one. And I think a few people have compared this to Bonjour Triste, so that intrigues me. I want to start my Virginia Woolf journey, so we got Mrs. Dalloway by her. Most people say that this is a good place to start, so this is where I'm starting. I also got a few more books on my shelf that I can pick up if I'm interested. And I think that this might be a way of writing that I need to get used to, because it's very flow of consciousness, and I haven't read much of that before. If on a Winter's Night, A Traveler by Italo Calvino. I mean, it's got winter in the title. It feels like just a book that you can spiral into and just disappear into, which is perfect with winter months. And it's also very meta, I think, that it is a book within a book within a book within a book, and you just keep on going, and I think the narrative kind of goes deep, but I don't know what it goes deep into. So, and also this cover is just gorgeous. So Okay, we're just gonna keep on going because we got a lot to get through, but White Sargasso Sea by Sean Rhee. This is kind of a follow-up or a fanfiction or a reimagining of Jane Eyre, and it tells the story of one of the other very prominent characters in that story. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but it's kind of the antagonist of that story. We get kind of her backstory, I believe, and I think that this goes very deeply into that, and you get better understanding of her as a person. I think it's kind of interesting that kind of a fanfiction, or not really fanfiction, but a reimagining of that story got so popular that it's now a classic as well. That intrigues me, and I can't wait. I Never Promised You a Rose Garden. This is, I have never heard of this before, but I saw it in the bookstore and I was just felt so pulled to it that I just had to buy it. And I think that this is going to be very sad. And I think it's about this young teenage girl who gets sent to a psychiatric hospital, and it's her inner struggle with the mental illnesses that she has, and also her struggle with the doctors and her relationships with them. And I think it's going to be very, very just sad, depressing, but it's also going to touch on quite a few relatable subjects for me. So I'm kind of scared to read this, but I want the pain. I want to lean into the winter depression. So I guess we'll see how that goes. The more and more I go through this, the more I'm thinking that I'm kind of delusional for thinking that I can read all of this. Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert. This is, all I know that this is a scandalous story about adultery and this woman who just is trying to find herself in French society. And again, I think it's depressing. That is the vibe I get from it. You can probably see a theme in all of these. A Sicilian Romance by Anne Radcliffe. She is a very early writer in the Gothic genre, and I feel like I should probably pick some of her workshops because I read quite a few Gothic classics before, and I want to go back to kind of the beginning. And this is, I think, just set in Sicily. It's castle, it's religious horror, it's just Gothic and romance, and yeah. This is probably going to challenge me a bit because I think the writing is going to be quite older than what I'm used to. But I'm up to the challenge, and again, can't wait. I'm going to stop saying that now. The Master and Margarita, another Russian classic. Again, when I think of winter, I think of this book, actually. I have been putting this off for way too long now, and I think it's time. I have way too high hopes for this book, I think, but I think that it possibly can live up to the expectations. I just whacked that book so hard into the table. Well, yeah. We got another Russian, and that is We by Yevgeny Samyatin. This is a dystopian sci-fi, which I think everyone pitches it as the book that inspired 1984, or at least it came before 1984. And it's a very, very disturbing view of the future. And I always find it fascinating to read dystopian classics because how they imagine the future could go in the wrong direction, how the worst direction they could imagine is very, very interesting to see compared to where we are now. So I think this is going to have a lot of good commentary on it. I got a Toni Morrison, another author that I really want to get into, and this is Sula by her. This is all on my house. This is where I'm going to start, but I think that she is a very important writer in kind of the literary history, so. Then we got one that kind of needs no introduction, I guess, and it's very, very, a lot of people might look at it and think, oh, that's scary, that is going to be hard, and that is Beowulf by, who knows, we don't know who wrote this. I saw Emma from the channel Emmy recommend this, and I was sold. I have just finished the Iliad, so I kind of want to read some more epic poems, and this is a very northern Scandinavian English, I think. epic poem that is kind of ancient, and it's about this monster called Grendel that is going around killing all of these men in this village, and we have the hero Beowulf who is going up against this monster and fighting him. That's all I know, and again, yes, it scares me, but I want the challenge. I want to kind of diversify my reading a bit and read a bit more longer back in time. So I think this might be a good place to start. I don't know when this was written. The poem called Beowulf was composed sometime between the middle of the 7th and the end of the 10th century of the first millennium. Yeah, that's old. Probably oldest that I would have read so far. Okay. Last classic. Again, it's a Russian classic. It's a big classic. It's one that I think I'm really going to love. I'm trying to not put too much expectations on this, and that is Anna Karenina. Anna Karenina by Leah Tolstoy. Do I need to say more? Leah Tolstoy is renowned for his books, for his chunky books. I got War and Peace on the shelf, and I'm planning to read that next year sometime as well. I'm going to take that a lot more slowly, but this I think is going to be my Christmas break book. When I'm done with my exams and Christmas break is here, this is what I'm going to dedicate my time to. I can't wait, actually. And I got this beautiful edition, which also has very, very big writing. I think I'm going to savor this one and just dive into it, dissect it. And I can't wait to find out about the life of Anna Karenina. Again, probably going to be depressing, as all of the Russian classics are. Okay, so the classics are done. As you can tell, I can't really say too much about them because I don't know too much about them. I don't have to know too much about the book before going into it, and I think this video kind of reflects that, but that's why I'm trying to go through them quite quickly. But the classics done, and we're going to go on to... let's do fantasy, I guess. I got the conclusion to a trilogy here, which is Three Shattered Souls by Mary Corlin. This is a romantasy trilogy, I would say. It's very fast-paced. It's got 6 POVs, so it's very broad, but it's very essential, or it's very just the original essential romantasy. You can't really expect more, and it's also got these beautiful edges that make up a photo when you put them beside each other. I really enjoy it as a palette cleanser. I really enjoy the fast-pacedness of this. I enjoy the characters. It's got 6 characters, 6 romances. It's kind of reminiscent of Six of Crows in that way. But yeah, I really want to finish off the trilogy. Then we got one I know nothing about. I will be honest, it was a cover buy, and you're going to realize why when you see the cover. That is The Starving Saints by Caitlin Starling. I mean, look at that. That is gorgeous. This cover is absolutely gorgeous, and when I saw the cover, all I got was botanical horror. That is kind of the assumption I got, but when I read the back, it's a fever dream of medieval horror, and it's also got cannibalism and sapphic romance. I was sold, I just needed to get it, and here we are. I think this probably would be so good to read in the fall time, but I didn't get to it, so I'm not going to wait until next fall. I need to read it ASAP. We got a continuation of one of my favorite series that is currently ongoing, and that is The Gate of the Fairy Gods by Matt Inman. This is the 4th book in the Dungeon Crawler Card series. I fell absolutely in love with the series when I started it this year, and it's just so funny, and it's so engaging, and it's so... can't put it down, and the characters are just so lovable, and the dynamic they have, and just the world and how it's expanding and expanding for each book in ways you don't expect, and how the politics are. Yeah, I just love this book series. It's a lit RPG, which is the first lit RPG series that I have read, but it's a genre that so far I'm really enjoying. I don't know if this is kind of representative of the whole genre or if it's just unique, but maybe I'll find out sometime. Blood Over Bright Haven by ML Wang. This is a TikTok, YouTube phenomenon. ML Wang just took all social media platforms by storm. I have not read her first book, which is The Sword of Kaigen, but I do have this one. This one kind of intrigued me a bit more. It's pitched as a dark academia with just this very interesting magic system and a climate that is failing. And we follow this woman named Sayona, which is the first woman admitted into the kind of high society of magicians. She is the first one that kind of can become a mage, and she has to face the struggles of that and the misogyny of that. And she works with this person that is very low in the ranks, and yeah, I think that it's going to be quite amazing. Now, next up is a bit scary. There's Gardens of the Moon by Steven Erikson. You have probably heard of the Malazan, the First Empire series, if you are a fantasy reader. It's kind of hanging over you. It's what is pitched to you as the most epic fantasy series of all time, alongside The Wheel of Time and A Song of Ice and Fire. This is kind of the pinnacle of what fantasy is. So I guess it's time to start reading it, and I got the first 3 books. I'm going to start with the first one and see what I think. I think I'm going to really, really love it because from what I heard, it's very expansive. The world is so well made, so expansive. The characters are vast. They act realistically, and it's just something that will pull you in and not let you go into the real autumn. The Haunting of William Thorne. This is more of a low fantasy, magical realism perhaps, and it's queer. It's got this haunted house and got botanical horror, I think, and and it's dealing with grief as well. I only bought this because it's kind of reminded me of Dawn of the Forest and Summer Songs, which are 2 of my favorite books that I have read this year, so that's why I got this one. And I also follow the author on TikTok, so just wanted to support him. The First Binding by R.R. Wordy. This is a chunker, but again, look at the cover. This cover is absolutely gorgeous, and I really want to buy the second one as well because this is a duology, but I think I have to read the first one before I go buy the second one. I can't really justify it just yet. This, I think this is a framing narrative where we got this character that is looking back at things and telling us what happened earlier in his life. Should we read the back together? All legends are born of fruits, and just as much as lies. These are mine. Judge me for what you will, but you will hear my story first. My name is Ari, and this is the story of how I let loose the first evil. It's also got Winter is Coming on the back here, so I don't know. Perfect time to read it. But I love reading big chunky fantasy books in the wintertime and also the summertime. Those are kind of those 2 seasons where I read the biggest, chunkiest, and I want to just get lost in them. And this is the one I've just been craving a story like this. Just a very, very classical fantasy series that's chunky, that's got characters that you will hate and love and just cry with and triumph with and everything. And a story that is beautifully written. And that is what I hope this will be. Okay, we got 2 more fantasy books. First off, we got a kind of funny one, and that's Shiver by Maggie Stiefvater. This is a YA werewolf book that plays in wintertime. I have one of my favorite series of all time is the Raven Cycle by the same author, but I haven't read any of her other works, so I thought, why not start with Shiver? I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it because I'm kind of over the YA genre, but I think maybe her writing and the fact that it's werewolf in wintertime might convince me, so we're going to try it out and see. And the last one is The Book That Broke the World by Mark Lawrence. I read the first one this summer and I gave it 5 stars, so I do need to continue with this trilogy. It's a finished trilogy. One of his other trilogies are one of my favorite fantasy trilogies of all time, so Mark Lawrence is truly one of my favorite authors so far. And the fact that this is set in an ending library that is mysterious, that tries to trap you, that's got magical mysteries that you gotta figure out, and the timelines are kind of warping around themselves, and it's just such a good atmosphere, and the characters as well. It's just so good. So I really need to read this one soon. Okay, that was all the fantasy, so we're now going to move on to literary fiction or just general fiction, and then we got nonfiction, and then we're done. So I kind of had a specific taste when it comes to literary fiction, and that is just coming of age, depressing stories. So a lot of these kind of fit into that genre, I think. And the first one is Young Mungo by Douglas Stewart. I think this is a coming of age where this guy is from Ireland. Yeah, so it's about these two young boys in Ireland who one is Protestant and one is Catholic, and it's about their struggles growing up in kind of the working class of Glasgow, I think. Scotland maybe it is then. Yeah, Scotland. And it's about them figuring out who they are and just coming to terms with that and just trying to find a place in the world. I think this is going to be very beautiful. So when I think of winter, I think specifically of the Bear Town trilogy by Fredrik Backman. So here we have The Winners by Fredrik Backman. This is the third book and final book in the Bear Town trilogy. I have not read this one yet because I'm scared. I don't want it to end, but at the same time, I think this is the book that is going to put me into an early grave. This is what is going to break me. This is what's going to kill me by my tears, probably. And I've been putting it off for a year and a half now, so I think it's time. I don't want to say goodbye to these characters. I truly don't, but I can always come back. And Fredrik Backman is one of my favorite writers of all time, so I am on a journey to read all of his books, and at some point I do need to get to this one. Then we got a fun one, which is A Dangerous Collaboration by Deanna Rayborn. This is the fourth book in the Veronica Speedwell series, which is a historical romance mystery series. It's technically a historical mystery where we follow these two characters, Veronica and Stoker, as they go around just figuring out these mysteries that get thrown in their way, but I mainly read it for the romance between the characters. It's got excellent banter, great just characters, and the way that Veronica is stubborn, doesn't care what everyone thinks of her, doesn't comply with the rules of society at the time. Yeah, it's just amazing. The romance is oh so beautiful, but also such a slow burn. This is the fourth book. I read 3 books and nothing has really happened yet. So I can't wait to finally get kind of the crumbs of the romance a bit more. A Certain Hunger is a cannibal story. All I know. I think it's about this woman who is a food writer, a food critic, and she kind of gets so obsessed with food in a way that she starts killing bad men and eating them, potentially. This was just, again, kind of a cover by, and it just intrigued me a lot, but I don't really want to know too much about this. We got a short story collection, which I never read, actually, but this is Antarctica by Claire Keegan. This just screams winter to me, and I have read one book by Claire Keegan, which was Foster, and I absolutely adored it. It's such an impactful story, so I want to read some more by her, and I found this in a little free library near me, so I want to try it out and see if maybe this is the short story collection that I will enjoy. All the Lovers in the Night. I have actually started reading this one. I read 2 chapters of it like a couple of months ago, and this hit me so hard. It felt like this author just took a peek into my mind without letting me know and just put it all into words. So this is a story that is, I think it's a slow moving story, but it's going to be an impactful story for me. I don't think this is for everyone, but I think it's going to be for me. Thousand Splendid Suns by Khalid Hosseini. I am ready to cry. I think it's followed 2 different women in Afghanistan, and it's about their life when the Taliban take over, and it's just, yeah, I have seen a lot of people cry when reading this one. And then the last literary fiction is Written on a Body by Jeanette Winterson. I don't know. All I know about this one is that it's queer. It's about we follow this person who we never get to know the gender of, and this person has relations with both men and women, and it's about them exploring that, I think. Don't know anything about it, I just know that this writer is excellent. Okay, so that was all the fiction books. We now got some non-fiction. I am kind of on a journey to read a bit more non-fiction this year. I'm going to make a video about it soon, kind of why, I guess. But we then got these 3 books. We got Educated by Tara Westover. This, again, is a very TikTok essential book. It's about this woman who grew up in this kind of cult, I guess, and she was denied education of any kind, but she broke away, and then she decided to educate herself, and it's about her journey of that. Then we got A Woman Speaks by Anais Nin. This is a collection of interviews by her and essays by her, all collected into this one just book. I think I might find quite a few good messages in here. This is going to be a book I read quite slowly, I think. And another book I'm going to read quite slowly is Women Who Run with the Wolves. This is kind of trying to connect you to your inner ancient woman, how the women are meant to be, I guess, and when we're not forced to be by society, by patriarchy. I think this was written in the 90s, so it's kind of outdated in some ways, but so many people that I look up to treat this as their Bible. And I think it's definitely a book that you read very, very slowly. It's a book you read a chapter on, reflect on it before you come back. And you don't really read, I think it's dense, and you don't really read much until you feel a pull to read it. So those are the non-fiction books. And then also I want to read a bit more history. I want to be more educated in history. So I have kind of picked out a few. History is so vast, it's so broad that you kind of have to pick out areas of the world and eras of time to begin with. And I've picked out just ancient Rome and ancient Greece and kind of European history. I think those are kind of easy places to start. So I got a few books that I have my eyes on in terms of ancient Rome. I'm gonna just put them on the screen. And also I have a book coming in mail kind of in ancient Greece, I think. And then for Europe, I think I'm going to start with just English history because I was recommended 2 books by Dan Jones, which kind of go over the English royal family, or I guess just a very, very long time back. And then I also got The 6 Wives of Henry VIII by Alison Weir. This goes into detail of all of his wives and tells their story. It just interests me. So that's kind of the short section of history. I'm really decided what I'm going to read, and I'm not going to read too much at once. I think I'm going to take my time with it, but that is a section that I kind of want to explore a bit more in this winter. So that was all of the books that I have on my winter TBR. Hopefully you can find a few books as well to put on your winter TBR. I have a lot of reading to do, but I think I'm going to really find some bangers in here, some new favorites, some new just books that I can really dive into and see myself reflected as a mirror in. That's kind of what I'm looking for when I'm reading, I guess. Not all the time. I want to read books that does not reflect me as well, but this is kind of a new mood. I'm kind of in a reflective mood, and just I want to lean into the winter blues, as I said. So yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to, and comment down below what you're reading this winter. It will help me a lot if you do that, but no pressure, no pressure. Thanks so much for watching, and hopefully I see you next time. Bye.